Samael, the venom of God, the archangel of destruction, and one of the watchers that opened the eyes of humanity by taking human women as partners and leading to the birth of the Nephilim. How strong is he? Where does one even begin with Samael? Historically, he does not really appear until the Second Temple period, in the apocryphal book of Enoch, which was written in the late 2nd century BC to the 1st century CE. Being generous, let's say sometime around 100 BCE. And in 1st Enoch, Samael is among the legion of angels, the Watchers, that descended to earth to take for themselves human women. In Enoch, there is not much to wager in terms of power, but seeing as God decided it would be the duty of the Archangel Michael to round up these Watchers, there is some degree of power there among them, though not enough to give any concrete scaling from Enoch 1 alone, outside of the fact that the Watchers knew astronomy and how to divine the weather, among many other things. There's not much more to say. If you really want to do some questionable scaling, though, the fact that God had to send Michael, when in 3rd Enoch we know there are angels in heaven that can lash continent-sized divine beings with whips of fire, it may show that these Watchers are quite strong indeed. Of course, there is a lot easier way to scale him that high. Let's move on to another source, also from around the Second Temple period. This is the Ascension of Isaiah. Here, Samael is also attributed to Belial, but not the demon of later demonographies, but just the general term for lawlessness or unfaith, from the Hebrew, and I'm sorry that I'm going to butcher this, Belial. Here, as Isaiah is taken to the edge of the firmament, literally the boundary between God and the earth, where he sees Samael, here spelled with 2 M's in the text, and his fell heavenly host, arguing in fervor for battle, a fervor that will not be satisfied until Messianic days, whenever that may be. This text is debated on whether or not it is Christian or Jewish, or some combination of both, as if there might not have been a delineation when it was written. So it could either be the first Messiah from a Jewish perspective, or the second coming from a Christian one. Regardless, this would give Samael some of that Book of Revelation scaling, if it is from the Christian perspective, since it does involve a heavenly force assailing the earth. But how far into those tiers do we go? We can maybe look into those end-of-the-world tiers by peering into the DanKeehnerVA. This is a post-Second Temple, post-Roman occupation midrash of the Book of Deuteronomy. And in here is more definite scaling. For context, a midrash is a further extrapolation of the Jewish texts of the Old Testament, with rabbinical insight and further detailing of the stories. In 11.9 of the DanKeehnerVA, we see Samael, here seen as a member of the Heavenly Council, still an accuser though, Ha-Satan, but very much in God's good graces, and he is the one tasked with taking Moses' life, after both Gabriel and Michael petition the Lord to say they cannot. Samael goes and approaches Moses, only to find that Moses has inscribed his staff with the Tetragrammaton. This is the ineffable, unspeakable name. And I can't believe I have to say that in a Powerscaling video. A ridiculous sentence that I never thought I'd say ever, but here we are. And with the staff and with the name, Moses speaks on what the Lord has allowed him to do before engaging Samael in conflict. Yes, a man fights an angel in this midrash. These things are as simple as causing the sun and moon to stop in their courses, slaying giants who were so tall that the great flood of Noah did not even reach their ankles, this being a flood that covered the world several hundred meters in depth, using 1,000 meters of height for the floodwaters, which could easily be seen as a low ball, considering the landing on Ararat happened after the seas subsided some. These angels would be nearly 6,000 meters tall, meaning killing them would require almost mountain levels of attack potency. And that's the low ball. The things do get crazier. That feat of stopping the sun in its advance across the sky, if taken literally, can be seen one of 2 ways. Either Moses, through God's name, held the earth still, preventing the sun from moving about the sky as the earth turned on its axis, or he literally pulled the sun along with the rotation of the earth, keeping it stationary from the perspective of the earth. This first feat, halting the movement of the earth to keep the sun in the sky using the kinetic energy formula, which is the best way of calculating such things, would require 6.51 times 10 to the 29 joules of energy, or enough energy to overcome the gravitational binding energy of the moon, meaning Moses, wielding the power of the Lord, can exert force equal of affecting and moving small planetary objects. And that's the low end. Using kinetic energy gathered to drag something that weighed as much as the sun at the speed the Earth rotates to keep it in the sky, it would require 2.16 times 10 to the 35 joules, which is enough energy to overcome the Earth's gravitational binding energy nearly 100 times over. And the same power, be it mountain level conservatively to small or large planetary pretty standardly, required several hits to smite Samael and cause him to flee, not even killing him, though it inevitably led to God taking Moses' life himself. While this is not attack potency directly, and would be more a feat of durability, it would show that there is a reason among the angels Samael was held in the same esteem with Michael, whom we discussed previously in this video as being the mightiest of heaven's angels, and Gabriel, who seemed to be equally capable of attempting for Moses' life. Meaning, expectantly, Samael would be at least in the planetary ranges of attack potency, but to a lower degree than a Moses fully inspired by the true name of God. Again, another sentence I never thought I'd say. And Michael, of course. So at the low end, Samael is somewhere in the large city to mountain level, having survived getting hit by the staff. And either idea of stopping the sun feat would consistently place Samael into the planetary ranges of power. Sometimes you gotta love extra biblical fanfiction. In terms of speed, seeing as Samael is held alongside the archangels, who scale above regular angels, who move as visages as lightning, seen in the accounts of Luke, can vanish into smoke, and ascend into heaven as in the book of Judges, or just outright parry attacks that hit stars and bring them to Earth, would award anywhere from lightning speeds to massively faster than light speeds, all the way up to high-end immeasurable speeds, seeing as movement between heaven and Earth, which are spatially separate dimensions with sheer speed alone. Ability-wise, being an angel, Samael should be able to disguise himself to appear ordinary to those who he does not want to show himself to. See the angels in the story of Lot, see the angel that speaks to Manoah and his wife in the book of Judges, and obviously he can fly as angels are wont to do. And amid other things, he should be able to conjure forth great light and perhaps even the heavenly hosts that are among his own, as stated in the Ascension of Isaiah. At the end of the day, Samael is at minimum a light-speed, city-busting angel. But in scope, and actually it would not be out of the question for a planetary argument for Samael, with massively faster than light to immeasurable speeds. And if you really want to go highball him, he'd be in that large planetary range of power, with definite immeasurable speed. So be afraid, my friends, as he who falls with the watchers comes to make what they will of humanity. Amid them, Samael, who reaps what he wishes and does as the Lord sows. As always, thanks for watching. Stay hydrated and be good people.